So, hey, it looks like we're going to do another one of these Just Another Fanboy classic episodes. This is number 31. Comes from March 30th of 2007. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time here with the intro because these episodes, now that Karen, my wife, has joined me as a co-host, or at least she did back then, the episodes are quite long. So just a couple of quick things. First of all, it was around this time, apparently, that I started to play around with the intros and just doing silly stuff and extending them and adding noises and sounds and music and all that junk. And I think at the time, Bullpen Bulletins was doing these extended intros that had a lot of fun stuff at the beginning. And I think I was trying to not steal what they were doing, but taking that as kind of an inspiration to do my own silly thing at the beginning of episodes. And I don't know if how long this continues. For all I know, this is only the only episode I do it on, but I feel like I do it in a number of episodes, but they may be here and there. They may not be like the next 10 episodes in a row, but, beyond that, the only other thing I wanted to add is that at one point in the episode, I'm talking about a website, comicaddiction.com. I've talked about this website before on the classic episodes. It's was something that was built by Chris Parton. And the last time I talked about it, just like this time, I got the URL wrong. It's not comicaddiction.com. It's comicaddiction.net. It's not the same website that it was back then. It's still out there. You can go find it. You can go look it up because that is where the Boom Addiction and the Comic Addiction podcast, those episodes, that's where they're hosted. That's where they're published, before they hit that RSS feed and get out there all across the podcatchers of the world. And those two shows, of course, are hosted by Chris Parton and Ed Moore. Ed, you may recognize the name. He is the co-host of the Superman Super Show along with me. Anyway, here's the episode. Enjoy.
You're listening to Just Another Fanboy, the podcast with too much time on its hands. Just Another Fanboy is a Lynx Broadcasting production and a proud member of the Comics Podcast Network.
Comics! The following morning, at the Hall of Justice.
What is your favorite thing in the world, besides your wife and baby? Comics. Yes.
The Legion of Doom is now in session. Comics! Not to mention the evil genius and brilliant leadership of myself, Lex Luthor.
No, wait. Tell them about comics.
Tell them about comics?
Comics! Moments later, at the estate of Bruce Wayne, alias Batman, another sinister nightmare is about to unfold.
I always play foosball for comics.
Comics! That man guessed right, but him not guess me Bizarro with Luthor device to change voice.
Just like a comic book, just like a comic book, just like a comic book, just like a comic book.
Welcome to episode number 31 of Just Another Fanboy. I'm your host, Steeven, and joining me again,
hello,
Karen.
Hi.
My wife. How you doing?
I am well, thank you so much.
You're well. Hey, you know what?
No, I'm not really.
No?
I'm all sniffly.
Oh, yeah, we're fighting a cold, both of
Well,
us.
I think today it feels more allergy related. My eyes are watery, my nose is running. I'm going to be making some...
Oh, we'll both try our best not to sniff into the mic.
Well, I'm not going to be able to help it, probably.
Yeah, so I
got
got
and I'll be blowing my nose.
But you know what? I don't have a sore tummy this week.
Well, good. Yeah, because on Tuesdays...
Because the last 2 weeks in a row...
You've been jinxed.
I've been jinxed.
With the Tuesday bellyache.
Okay, so I got a couple announcements before we get into the show.
Dun, da, da, da.
First of all, we will not hear anything from Norman and Gary this week. Nothing.
Loser.
Not a sausage.
Okay.
Norman's a little under the weather. Couldn't come in, and
okay,
as he's pretty much Gary's ride, couldn't make it.
What a pity.
So, yeah. I also, that kind of segues into the next announcement, which I tried a little experiment last week, the comic book theater.
Yeah, you did.
And when I thought of it sounded really good on paper, but as soon as the boys recorded it, not so much. But I went ahead and put it
I don't think it was such a bad idea. I thought it was rather clever, but not a big hit, but it wasn't bad either.
Well, I'll read you a couple of comments here because I sent it out to the listeners to just say, okay, look, I'm going to put it on here.
Right.
Tell me what you think, like or not like, we'll see if it comes up in future episodes.
Oh, and I like that you respect your regular listeners enough to say, tell me honestly when I throw out new stuff if you like it or not. And I'm glad that they respect you enough to be honest about it.
Yeah, I mean, I had a couple of responses, one or two that was
brutally honest.
They like it when I try the new stuff.
Yeah,
because it keeps the show interesting.
New, so you have to keep playing around. That's why I'm
Over at the forum, cgspodcast.com/forum, one of the regular listeners,
what does that stand for?
CGS.
Yeah.
Comic Geek Speak.
Oh, that one. Okay. Yeah, I know that one.
So, Miss Katonic says, drop the comic theater thing. It's not working.
Okay.
Jay Cargith says, while I agree with the previous comment a bit on comic theater, I would also add that I might have loved it were it a scene I was familiar with.
True enough.
That'd be kind of hard to try to pick out scenes that
everybody knows. Yeah. Exactly.
So...
buttons.
A little,
buttons.
A little thing here, that I came across this past week that I'm
first cough of the night. Sorry, I have drainage.
First of many.
Yeah. I have drainage.
You need some of that.
My first big sniff right into the microphone.
You need some of that Mucinex.
No, because it's not. Okay, mate. No, because it's not that. It's just like the draining from my eyes.
Oh,
my
that sounds
eyes are
really
watery.
gross.
Yeah, my eyes water a lot. It's a bad allergy thing. And the weather's only been nice here for a few days. And I've already got the watery eyes, itchy eyes. And so it runs down into my nasal passages, and then I sniff. And when I sniff, it goes into my throat, and then that makes me cough.
Why is it that you say draining from your eyes, and the first thought that hits my mind is runny eggs?
Runny eggs, because you like eggs. Ooh, I'm on top of it tonight.
I just keep setting them up. You keep hitting them home. Okay, so the Planet Comic-Con. Okay, there's in Kansas City. There's going to be a Comic-Con in May. And before I go into a lot of details here, I want to read directly from the site. Planet Comic-Con is the Kansas City area's largest comic book and pop culture event and is held annually at the Overland Park International Trade Center in Overland Park, Kansas. The 2007 No, not at all. The 2007 show offers 40,000 square feet of entertainment over a 2-day period.
40,000 feet of comic book stuff?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
And that's probably relatively small compared to like Chicago or San Diego or probably the New York Comic-Con. Meet many guests in person, including media personalities, comic book creators, both writers and artists, creators and artists from other genre, models, and more. So I'd kind of like to go to this.
Yeah.
It's going to be on Saturday, May 5th and Sunday, May 6th. May the 5th, Cinco de Mayo, which are, well, my hometown, but a town you lived in for a while, Eudora, Kansas.
Are you going to tell it?
When they...
it still makes me laugh to this day when I think about it.
What did the sign say?
Well, they have a Cinco de Mayo celebration or get together in the city, small city park for Cinco de Mayo. And so on the main street, where they have one of those like movable bulletin board things. What do you call those?
A marquee.
Okay. That'll work. That's where they post stuff that's happening in town. And it said Cinco de Mayo, Saturday, May 4th. And it still just cracks me up. It was just, that's the day they were, doing it because apparently the 5th, the Cinco de Mayo, was on a Sunday.
On a Sunday,
and I don't know. They just
small town Kansas.
Cinco de Mayo, Saturday.
This is
May
the same.
4th.
Well, this is the same town. This is the same town, and I think it's even been mentioned on the Late Show or the Tonight Show with Jay Leno.
The changes Halloween?
Yeah, for like 3 years, 2 or 3 years in a row,
Yeah.
they canceled Halloween because of a football game.
Football tournament.
They postponed
kind of stuff.
Halloween, I should say.
Like officially, we're trick-or-treating on this
Yeah,
day.
the day after or the day before.
Don't send your kids out on Halloween. All for fun. Well, and I can understand it was to the children's benefit because a lot of people, wouldn't be home because they'd all be at the game. So the kids wouldn't do very well with the candy getting. And I think B, whatever. 2B or not. Okay, just got to stop it right here. The traffic would be very heavy at really bad at certain points. In a small town, you get quite a backlog. That's not right. Traffic jams, and so it was for the children's safety. But anyway, they cancel Halloween.
I believe.
So any kid who didn't read the newspaper to find out officially that Halloween wasn't going to be on Halloween,
they're all out there like Charlie Brown.
Where are all the porch lights?
So let me just run down a couple of the guests that are going to be there on May the 5th and May the 6th in Overland Park, Kansas. We've got probably the headliner, Jim Lee, superstar. I'd like to meet Jim Lee, but I have a feeling that the line for Jim Lee is going to be long. So if I go, I probably will not meet Jim Lee, but I'm more excited about Tony Moore, Matt Fraction, who lives in Kansas City, Phil Hester, Andy Parks. I'd like to go meet those guys. I don't have anything for Phil Hester to sign. I have nothing for him to sign. I have a couple trades, but I'd like to just go shake his hand and just say, I like your stuff. You're awesome.
Okay.
But May the 5th.
So you want to go just to see people?
That, and maybe I can get my people to maybe get some business cards put together for the show. Pass out some promotional material.
Okay. So you'd be going there for your benefit. I mean, not just for
50-50.
Okay.
But that's if I go, because I'd have to burn a vacation day.
That's a work day for you.
I don't
on Saturday.
I don't know how many vacation days I have left for the year, so I guess I should check into that. But if I go,
is it an all day into the evening thing? Because you could always go in the evening when you get off of work.
I don't know how late it is. Let me look at the website here real quick.
You gonna look at the website real quick? Am I supposed to just fill in
10 to 5? Oh, so
yeah,
I'd be getting there around 4:30. Like, I'm here. Go home.
Yeah, we'll discuss that. Our options in regard to how many vacation days you have for the rest of the year.
Yes,
and what we might need them for.
Exactly.
But anywho.
But if I go, if any of y'all listening are going, let me know. Because if I go, maybe we can wear like little badges or something, or paint our noses red so we all know who we are and go, hey, redhead nose man, you're the fanboy guy.
Yeah.
So
I wouldn't do that.
No, probably not.
I don't want to spoil the mystery.
No.
People have... You listen to people on the radio and stuff, DJs, and you have an idea. You get a picture in your head of what they look like, and then you see them, and you're like, oh, that's not at all what I pictured.
I have not
Keep
hidden
the mystery alive.
I've not hidden the fact that I'm fat, I have red hair, and I'm freckly.
Yeah, but we haven't discussed me, so...
This is true.
I sound cute and perky. I'm tired and old.
So, something else I ran into this week, which was very nice, comicaddiction.com, which is a comic book website run by a listener of the show, Chris Parton.
I need a twisty.
Okay.
Can you fill the void while
Sure,
I step away and
sure,
find
you
I
go
gotta
get
get my
twisty.
hair up off my face.
Comicaddiction.com. It's a comic book website run by Chris Parton, who is a listener of the show and posts over at the CGS forums, I think as Comic Addict, has got our little podcast up as a podcast of the week. Now, I know it's up there today, and I think I want to say he put it up there as the podcast of the week maybe Wednesday or Thursday last week. So maybe by the time this episode actually hits, we may not be up there anymore because the week will have gone by. But
we got to start taping Boston Legal.
We're going to have to pause for a moment to tape Boston Legal.
8:57. Let's move it.
So how about an intermission? Okay. So,
Never mind.
Yeah, it's not on. Some Donny Osmond show's on.
Yeah.
I knew I didn't like that guy.
So they have like 2 or 3 weeks of reruns in a row, and then a new episode last week, which I still haven't watched on tape. And then they have another week without it. That's how shows lose people, is by jumping around like that too much.
That's because Donny Osmond's a little bit rock and roll.
Okay, anyway, so what were you saying before I came in yelling fire?
I was talking about comicaddiction.com, where they've got us listed as the podcast of the week.
I'm really proud of you, honey.
As I was stating, though, it'll probably be down by the time this episode is out on Thursday.
The week will be up.
Yes, so.
Well, but you were the
Regardless, go to comicaddiction.com.
Yeah.
It's a nice centralized spot to get all your comic book news. You know, a lot of times I'd go to Newsarama and run through all their news stories and maybe read 2 or 3. And then I'd go over to comicbookresources.com and then maybe read a couple stories over there and search other comic book websites. But Chris does a really good job. Chris Parton, the runner of comicaddiction.com. Okay. He does a really good job he goes out there and he finds the news stories and he puts them on his website as, you know, you get the headline, you click on it, and then it'll take you to like Newsarama or.
Oh, wow, that's a lot of work.
Well, he's also got his own stuff on there though as well. I think he had an interview, or something regarding, Devil's Due book, G.I. Joe Storm Shadow, which I haven't read yet, but I'm gonna. Not the book, the interview or the story. Anyway, so comicaddiction.com, check it out. So on Sunday, took the boy to see TMNT.
Yeah.
And he really seemed to enjoy it at first. Mm-hmm. But about an hour and 20 minutes into it, we had to leave because he got a little scared. And, you know,
he's still a little guy.
He is. He's not even 5 yet. And I can understand because there were some pretty scary monsters, you know, in the eyes of a 5-year-old.
4-year-old.
Yeah, 4.5-year-old boy.
Yeah.
Those monsters can be kind of scary. And the turtles themselves, I mean, Raphael and Leonardo spent pretty much most of the movie, or at least the first hour and 20 minutes.
Sibling rivalry.
Brothers
fighting.
At odds.
Yeah.
And so they always looked, to a certain extent, pretty angry.
Yeah.
And
it's like I told you when you got home that in a way that almost makes me proud because I think we've done a really good job of limiting what type of things we expose the kids to. They haven't been exposed to a lot of violence and, you know, that kind of fighting sort of thing. I mean, except for what you see in Superman kind of cartoons and things. I think it was just a little too real, a little too frightening, maybe up on the big screen.
Well, and I will say,
poor little guy, but he didn't cry or anything, right?
No, he just at one point he just said, I want to go home. I said, you want to go home? You don't want to watch the rest of the movie? No, it's scary. I scared.
Oh, it's so precious.
And of course,
what?
I have to admit guiltily that for the first couple minutes I tried to talk him into staying.
Well, sure, but, because whatever might have been scary might pass.
Yeah.
You know?
But then I realized he wasn't fooling around. He started to get a little louder. Yeah. And so I just said, all right, we'll get out of here. That's not a problem.
Gotta respect the boy.
And, I could tell he felt kind of bad about it, but, you know, I explained to him that it just wasn't a movie for him and that there will be other movies that will not scare him that we can go see together, and he was okay.
Very good.
But I will say that as an adult, as a 30-something-year-old man watching Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on the big screen, it was awesome. It was awesome. I mean, first of all, I said this, I think, to you the first time we watched The Incredibles, that all comic book movies should be computer generated now. They just should be. And TMNT just really,
so cool.
Well, you can do so much more. And TMNT really cemented that for me because
I love the way Elastigirl's hair flutters in the wind when she's riding on that unirail thing. That's awesome. The way her hair, I mean, that made me go, whoa.
I mean,
That's good work there.
in this day and age, with computer graphics the way they are used in live action movies, there's really not a lot that, you know, a director or a writer is going to say, I would like to see Superman doing this. And the studio, you know, in this day and age, well, we can't really do that. You know, with today's technology, you can, even with live action.
We have the technology.
Exactly. But a lot of times anymore, unless you have a huge budget like you do on Superman Returns, you can really tell in a live action movie when, let's say, the character of Superman turns into a digital character. Mm-hmm. You know, a lot of times you can tell that all of a sudden here's Brandon Routh flying through the air, and all of a sudden, oh wait, that's not the actor anymore. That's a digital creation. If you did the entire movie CGI, you wouldn't have to worry about that.
That. Yeah.
And the people who did TMNT did a spectacular job with the animation. The story was really good too, at least for the first hour and 20 minutes. You know, for all I know,
wait and see how it ends.
For all I know, the ending just was really bad.
Maybe it tanked,
but
I doubt it.
I'm looking forward to.
Didn't it become number one?
It did.
Over the weekend?
That's one of my news items. So, number one at the box office this past weekend.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then you went to McDonald's afterwards because they had the turtles and the Happy Meals.
Yeah, because we went to.
He's got two turtles. Are they the same one?
Yeah.
With the orange. Which one is he?
The red Michelangelo,
Okay.
which was always my favorite turtle.
Aww.
But yeah, because we had stopped at my mom's, and my mother was telling me how they have the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles toys with your Happy Meals, and she's like, and these aren't just crappy toys like you normally get in a Happy Meal. Yeah, they do stuff.
They move.
So I asked Simon, I said, well, we're going to go to McDonald's and get a Happy Meal. Do you want a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle toy? And he said, yes. And a couple of times he'd play with it. And then at one point he handed it to me and goes, no, it's too scary. And then 20 minutes later, he wanted it again.
He wanted to play with it again.
So, yeah. And they played a preview for the Underdog movie beforehand, which I have really mixed feelings about because I grew up watching Underdog, Speed of Lightning, Roar of Thunder, which...
You're such a nerd.
Well, Underdog was awesome. Ooh, ah, ooh, ah. I'm not going to sing the song. Anyway,
I have no idea what that is.
Basically, for our younger listeners, Underdog was a cartoon way back. I mean,
I'm not younger, but I don't know.
You don't know what?
Why?
Underdog.
Underdog.
Underdog was an older cartoon even when I was a kid. And basically, you had this guy who was a shoeshine boy. He was a dog. And... He was a shoeshine, which was weird because he was a dog, but he was called Shoeshine Boy. Well, the funny thing about it is the way he turned into Underdog. He had a little ring on his finger, and he'd pop open the top of it, and there'd be a little pill in there. And he'd eat the pill, and he'd turn into Underdog.
Great.
But in the movie version,
pop pills,
exactly,
Have
which is
yourself a good time.
Which is probably why they're avoiding that aspect of the origin of the Underdog. But in the movie
you really
version,
have to think things through like that. These days.
Everything's so PC anymore.
Well, just being cautious for the kids.
In the movie version, Underdog is actually it's a dog. I mean, with a cape and a costume on. It's not. It is to an extent. You know, I mean, I don't know if it's a completely CGI dog, but it doesn't look like the cartoon. Yeah, it looks like a real dog. Yeah. It talks. It's got the voice of Jason Lee. So I don't know. I got kind of mixed feelings about it because when I first heard they were going to do Underdog, I was pumped. Right on. Yeah, I was ready to see Underdog.
But it's different, and for such a fanboy, it's hard to accept.
His costume didn't fit him very well in the original cartoon. It sagged. It was like too big. It was awesome. I loved it. So. Yeah. Oh, and they played, I didn't tell you this, they played a preview for the new Harry Potter.
Oh, yeah.
That's going to be awesome. Order of the Phoenix. Looking forward to that.
That'll be good.
And so I also found out recently, do you remember last week when I read the comment from the website from a listener named Kevin?
Kevin.
Hold on.
That was your first official cough.
Excuse me. And he made a comment about how I hope Norman, Oklahoma is not based after me.
Okay, he made a comment about right.
I just discovered in the last couple of days that's a friend of mine that I used to work with, Kevin
from work.
An IT guy. So
Kevin, the IT guy.
So how did he?
You think I remember him from when I worked there?
I don't know if he was around. I don't know if he was around when you worked there.
Okay.
But his wife listens too sometimes.
Hello, wife.
Yes, awesome.
Wife of Kevin.
And I was a little late coming home from work today.
Yeah, I made you stop and pick up diapers.
Well, but what else did I bring you?
Are we going to announce it?
Yeah, go ahead.
It's official.
It is official.
I've read something. Da, da, da.
I brought home a shiny new hardcover
my first book.
Pride of Baghdad.
Yeah.
Written by Brian K. Vaughan. Art by Nico. I have no idea how you pronounce that last name. Henricon?
It depends
I don't know.
how it's pronounced. I was going to say it depends on its origin, and we're not good at that. So.
If you know, send me a voicemail.
There you go.
But
Problem solved.
And you sat down about an hour and a half ago.
Yeah.
Read it cover to cover.
Yeah.
What'd you think?
It was good.
You liked it?
It was good.
How did the ending hit you? Warning. You are about to be spoiled regarding the end of Pride of Baghdad. If you do not wish to be spoiled, please take a moment to step away from your iPod and maybe go into the kitchen and fix yourself some eggs. Thank you.
You mean the fact that they all died?
Yeah. Oh, spoiler! For those who haven't read it, too late.
It was, well, that's sad, of course.
Well, because at one point I look over, because I'm getting stuff ready for the show, and I look over and you flipped over to the very last page, and I said,
started reading it. Well, maybe I was,
a quarter
of the way through. I knew, just like I was saying last week, I knew who the characters were. I knew what was going on, and that I needed to know how it ended before I could continue. So
and I said, "Oh no, don't read the last bit. Don't read the ending."
Because then you said, "Well, because now you won't want to read the rest of it." And I'm like, "Who are you talking to? It's me." I wanted to know how it ended.
I understand that, but
it was a bit confusing because because the picture
last,
in the back,
the very last page.
It has the statue of the lion, on top of the man. And I thought, oh, it's like a whole Planet of the Apes thing. So I get how it ends. The lions take over the world. But no.
And I said, no.
Yeah. There are a couple of things.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just...
Okay.
Anyway, because I was telling you that
I have seizures now from that or something. Jeez. Send your verbal strobe light.
Send your complaints to justanotherfanboy@gmail.com. I was just saying that, when you brought up the whole Planet of the Apes thing, I said, other than the fact that the lions and all the other animals talk to each other, it's very much based in reality.
Yeah.
So no animals taking over
the world or anything.
But
just congratulate me, everybody. I'm not a fangirl, but I did what I said I was going to do. And it took me till this today, the day of the taping, to do it. But I've got a 2-week-old People magazine I haven't even bothered to read yet. And I love that stuff. I love me that stuff. Well, so it's just a matter of time and whatnot. First problem I had when I first started reading it was my eyes. Because I wear the glasses. And it was just like, I hardly ever read anything anymore. I just don't really seem to have the time or whatnot. So first my eyes had a hard time just adjusting to the print. And then I realized I wasn't exactly sure how to do it. Do I?
It always
seems.
Can I finish? Yes. Okay. I'm sorry.
Do I look at all of the pictures first and then read the words, or do I read the words and then look at the art? And if I'm all caught up in the words and I want to turn the page and find out what happens next, am I supposed to go back and look at the pictures later? I mean, there's so much going on visually. I just, I wasn't quite sure how to do it, and then I'd forgotten about the little bubbles. What do you call them?
Word bubbles.
Okay, good. Bubbles. It took me a while to figure out how sometimes the order in which to read those. That was confusing. It was like, there's for those who have been reading this stuff all their lives, how to do it. But for me, it was like, okay, I had to stop and think about, okay, who's talking now? And then when they have like a big picture at the bottom, am I supposed to read this stuff on both sides of each page and then the big thing at the bottom? It was very confusing and there.
It's a very interesting point, because you would,
takes a while.
As someone who reads comics all the time, it's just like, well, duh.
How
top to bottom, left to right,
out,
but because I know when I read comics, I tend to I'll get like 5 pages into it and I'll realize I haven't even really looked at the art to a certain
when
extent.
I get a People magazine, I flip through the whole thing first and look at everything, and then to find out what's in it. And then when I have time to sit down and read it, then I know, okay, well, I want to read this first, and it was back here. So I mean, anyway.
And that's that's kind of the mark of a good, solid comic book, is that
It's confusing.
Well, no, that if you find that, because part of the story is the art, a good artist uses the art to tell the story along with the text. And if you're reading a book and you get about 5 pages into it and you realize that you're not really looking at the artist probably isn't really doing their job, because you need the art to tell the story. Well,
and a seasoned reader knows how to do both at the same time. And I think by the time I got to the end of the book, I was doing better at that.
Yeah.
Just you read, you look, your eyes are just kind of going all the time.
Well, and I know that some guys will go through and they'll read the book.
But I read a book.
Yay!
A comic book.
Some people.
A graphic novel.
A graphic novel.
That's pretty
original
cool.
graphic novel. But, and sometimes what I'll do is I'll read, and I will be paying attention to the art, but I'll get to the end and then I'll go back and read it over again to really study, to really look at the art.
I could definitely do that again. Because at times I'm like, am I supposed to be looking for hidden? You open up and one page is or 2 pages are one big picture. And I'm like, oh, is there something here I'm supposed to notice? Is this the perspective visually from the lion? Is this what the lions are looking at? Or is this just, I didn't always know. So I'd like to go back and look through it again. So most of my comments, I guess probably all of my comments regarding the book are going to be about the technical difficulties of reading it when you're not used to it, because I intentionally just read the story for the story of the lions and the experience they were having. I chose to ignore or not think about any symbolism.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to go there. I just wanted to, because that could have, whatever kind of social commentary was being made, I wasn't interested, because it's just, it's a touchy subject,
Yeah, and that's okay, because I'm really bad with the symbolism. I mean, I'll read a book and then I'll listen to a podcast where the guys doing the podcast will be talking about the different the symbolism in the book, and they'll be like, and this panel here is represent. I'm like, really? I didn't catch that at all, and that makes sense. And
because I knew it was there.
Yeah,
I knew, but even now I'm not exactly sure what the writer. What they were saying, and I don't want to know, because it's such a heated debate, and I just, I don't want to know what I'm supposed to take away from this in regard to my opinion on the war.
Well, so
I just ignored it.
I'm very much, because I read this probably 2 months ago, and I didn't take anything away from it other than the fact that it was a very interesting story about what was happening in Baghdad through the perspective of a pride of lions, a family of lions. And from what I understand, the writer read a story or saw something on the news during or after the bombing of Baghdad that there was a zoo in Baghdad and there were some animals, and I think the article he read or saw on TV was mostly about this pride of lions that were roaming the streets, and he found that very interesting and he wanted to write a story. Now, if he is actually trying to say something about the war, again, I'm not good with symbol. I didn't catch it. So I just enjoyed the story.
Said and done, it's all over. I'll go back and I'll read it and think about it and analyze it in my own head. I think the part was that a bear?
Yes.
It looked like freaking Big Bear. It was all black Big Bear, kind of scary. When the dialogue between the lions and the bear, I believe, was trying to indicate something.
Oh, probably.
So the whole being. Yeah. Anyway, so I read it and I really enjoyed it for what it was. And if I read something else, I'll be a little more seasoned with my ability to do so.
And any good writer will tell you that even if you read something into what they've written and I can totally see that what you are trying to say is this. And even if that wasn't their intention, they'll be like, yeah, Yeah, that's totally what I was going for.
That's how it is with any writer.
Claim it.
Songs or anything, whatever you can take away from it.
Exactly.
They're good with that.
But you enjoyed it?
I did.
You almost didn't get it.
Oh, okay.
Because I picked it up at our local Borders, and I went into the area where they have their graphic novels and trades.
Every time we mention stuff.
We need to be sponsored.
Yeah, like by Borders and by by ABC, as much as we mentioned Duty Crane.
Duty Crane. But I went back there, and first of all, I don't know how it is at your local Borders, people out there listening.
I love my new Swiffer carpet flick.
I don't like...
Please send me refills. I love it.
I don't like shopping, first of all. I hate it. I'm not a big fan of people. But I go into the Borders, and back there in the 2 whole shelves that contain the graphic novels, 75% of which are manga, which is Japanese comics I don't really care for. But there's always seems to be one guy who's in there reading, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And sure enough, there was a dude sitting there on a footstool, just stretched out between the 2 shelves reading, making it very difficult for me to browse the aisle and look for this book. But, you know, I stuck it out and I couldn't find it. Oh. So I got onto their little computer before I'm not going to ask anybody. I'm a guy, we don't ask for directions. So I get on the computer.
There's that big information center in the middle of the store where you go ask for help. That's the first place I go when I go in there. I want this book. Do you have it?
I get on their little computer, and sure enough, it shows that they have the titles on the shelf. So I go back and look again and still don't find it. And then I decide, all right, I'm going to have to ask somebody.
Good for you.
So I asked somebody, and they came over and they looked and couldn't find it. And she's like, well, I'm just going to go looking back to see if we have any. And she comes back out with 4 copies, hands me one, puts 3 on the shelf.
Wow.
And I had planned on, there were 2 books that I was planning on getting. One was the Pride of Baghdad, which I found.
Thank you, by the way.
And I also wanted to get a book by Robert Kirkman called The Walking Dead.
Ew.
The first hardcover is out, and it collects, I think, the first 12 issues. And I wanted to get it because I felt that if you enjoyed Pride of Baghdad, then you would like reading The Walking Dead. Oh. And you hear a title like that and you're like, and it is just to a certain extent a horror comic, but it's a zombie comic, but yet not. Okay. Let me try to explain this.
Okay.
Do you remember, because we've watched a couple zombie movies together.
Are you Night of the Living Dead under there?
I've never.
What's that from?
That's Beetlejuice.
Very good.
I hate to admit I've never actually seen Night of the Living Dead, but we watched.
Well, which one?
I don't know any of them.
They're both.
But do you remember watching the remake of Dawn of the Dead with me? It had Ving Rhames in it, and they're trapped in the shopping mall, and the zombies run really fast. And anyway, a lot of the zombie movies take place over,
in the mall.
No, it's like
awesome.
Boom, there's zombies. We're trapped. We got to get free. We get free. The movie's over.
Huh. What was it called?
I think it was called Dawn of the Dead. It was a remake of an original. But anyway, what I think The Walking Dead, because I've read the first 2 trades.
Great movie.
Yeah. The Walking Dead is more about the people who are still alive after the zombies, after these zombies take over the world, kind of. They're out there. And the whole zombie part is kind of the backdrop. It's kind of like saying that, of course, you've never read The Stand, have you? It's kind of like saying The Stand.
But I know it doesn't compare.
Yeah. But it's like saying that The Stand is a book about a disease. The disease is just the cause to get these people together. And that's kind of like what The Walking Dead is. I think you'd really like it.
And it's a graphic novel?
It's a current series that's out right now.
Okay.
But the issues are being collected in trades. And I think they're up to like volume 5 or volume 6. Yeah, I was going to get the first volume of the hardbacks, which the first one is out, which collects the first 12 issues, which are, basically two chapters. And the second one's coming out soon. So I think I'll just wait till the second one comes out, and then I'll just get both of them together.
I didn't ask you, how much did it cost?
It was like $20.
The one you got me?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's
okay. Well, don't do that anymore.
That's standard. Well, I had that gift certificate.
But still, wow.
That's standard.
Wow.
That's standard. It was a hardback.
Wow, but
yeah,
I buy hardback books.
Well, yeah, and
wow,
and you have to think, it's like, well, geez,
we're in the wrong business.
A prose novel costs about that much, and it's about 17 times as long. It's so much longer, but
Jeepers
with a prose novel, all you're doing is basically
text.
Yeah, you're just paying the guy who wrote the book.
Right.
But you're also paying an artist who has to put in, I don't want to say they put in more time than a writer, because I'm not an artist, but I do write, and it's a very grueling process. But you're paying for the writer and the artist, and it costs more to print a colored page of art than it would a black and white text.
I can totally see that, but don't do that again. We'll go to the library. Do you know how many gallons of milk that is?
Well, but it was a Borders
Even
gift
when they're $1.99 a gallon at Dillon's.
we couldn't use the Borders gift certificate to buy milk at Dillon's, so I had
Okay, true enough. Well, thank you for using your personal gift certificate on me.
I
That's
got that
very sweet.
I got that for Christmas.
Yeah. Well, you just scored some points.
All right.
Working on Husband of the Year here, people.
Yeah, take that, Da Fixer.
Burn! Go buy your wife something pretty.
Well, let's do some listeners' feedback.
I gotta say one thing first.
Okay.
I have to apologize for using the B word last week. It's been really bugging me a lot. The BRAZILLIAN word.
Oh, yes.
When I am such a rated G, keep it clean kind of person, I can't believe that just spewed out of my mouth, knowing that some people were going to have to try to explain what that meant to their children. And even now, if they're listening, but boy, I guess maybe even bikini wax would have been more appropriate. I feel really bad about that. I do worry about it because it's totally off the charts as far as something I would say in front of children. And in case kids are listening, I apologize so sincerely to any parent who maybe was put in a position of having to explain something that they weren't quite ready to explain. And frankly, if you were, and you kind of fudged it with your kids, you sidetracked it, I'd email us.
Yeah, tell us the story.
Email us or call in, let us know what you told them if that happened. I'd like to know how you got out of that one.
Yeah.
Because I would have been digging deep to get out of that one in front of a young person. So
anyway. before we get into listeners' feedback, bottom line, Pride of Baghdad, your first real comic book experience.
I'm just proud of myself, and I hope other people are too.
But it was a good experience.
It was a good experience.
You enjoyed the story.
But not for the cost.
Well,
I mean, really.
That's why I tend to pick everything up.
Because it was a short read.
Yeah.
I understand we talked about the cost involved in printing, but boy, I mean, I'm not as big into owning things like that as you are, though. You like to get your books and put them all in alphabetical, your DVDs. You want them out. The only thing I really like displayed is the encyclopedias. And they're up in the attic because all of your CDs are taking up you like to own stuff. It says something about you. When people come in, they see your orderly collection of various
and that's why I had this
fanboy stuff.
I had this other gift certificate that I was going to use that I got from work for the holidays, and it was a $50 gift certificate.
Yeah.
And I was going to buy, because I was going to get The Walking Dead, and I figured I'd pick up a couple other books, but they didn't have The Walking Dead, so I was,
you were wandering around alone, unsupervised, with the gift certificate in a
burning
bookstore.
a hole in my pocket.
That's dangerous.
It is.
I gotta spend it. I gotta spend it. I gotta spend it. I gotta spend it.
But I was proud of myself because I'm looking at all these books and I'm thinking, I'd like to read that, but I could get it from the library. You
weren't passionate about it. I really want that. And I'm proud of you because that's a big step for you because you don't usually leave a store like that without something for yourself, even if you didn't really, really, really want it.
It's true. I'm selfish.
You are coming along real good, hon.
You teaching me good.
I'm growing you up good.
All right, so listeners' feedback. Okay, let's get into listeners' feedback. We actually don't have any voicemail again this week. Hello, listeners. What's going on? It's not the holidays. You busy?
Call me.
Jeez.
Da-da-da.
I'm going to stop doing this show. It's not worth it. Yeah.
Call us anytime.
We didn't get any voicemails, but I do have a couple of things that I want to read. This first one was posted over at the main website, justanotherfanboy.com, and it was a comment posted to episode number 30, and it just tickled me something great. So I wanted to go ahead and read it. This is from Samantha from Ohio, and she writes, I just wanted to say thank you. Your show is one of my favorite shows. Yes, that's right, one of my favorite. I was at one time a fangirl. I read faithfully each week as many of my childhood characters kicked butt, lived life, felt pain, and wove a web of interlocking tales. I was always the first in line on Capital Comics delivery day at my local comic book store. I never missed a beat, and I never got tired. Well, okay, I did sometimes, but who doesn't get tired of old rehashed stories with just a hint of polish to make them seem new? But that is enough about that. I wanted to write this message to you to tell you thanks and to tell you just how much your simple podcast has meant to me. I stopped my comic collecting days the week after Marvel killed the Ultraverse comic line. I was never sure exactly why they did it, but they did. Marvel bought them, stole a few ideas, and shut the doors and turned out the lights. I guess that was the day I realized that the real world could be just as harsh as my comic world was, and if I wanted to read, all I had to do was open up the daily newspaper or watch the evening news to get my fill of turmoil and strife. I never purchased another comic again as a personal boycott of what I viewed as big money crushing creativity. It has been many years since that day. I am now a mother of 2 wonderful children with a husband who works 12-hour days. Last Christmas, my loving spouse purchased for me an iPod, and while surfing the web for things to listen to, I found your wonderful podcast.
Right on.
I now download you each week to hear what is going on in my long ago but not forgotten comic world. Your show makes me smile. It gives me enjoyment, and it helps me fill the time while I am cleaning or doing household chores. So to you, I felt I needed to say, thanks for the show and keep up the good work. You have given this listener a most splendid gift, the gift of remembrance. P.S. Congrats on show 30. Yours truly, just another fangirl, Samantha from Ohio.
That is the most awesome
I
thing.
read that today, and it made my freaking day.
Yeah, well, that can last you a whole year, something like that. Very deep, very thoughtful, very, very heartfelt words.
Yes, it was a very nice thing to read.
She should write.
She should, right.
She puts words together really, really well.
Makes them flow.
She does. I mean, I enjoyed it. Very nice to get something like that.
Thank you, Samantha from Ohio. I hope you stick around.
Yeah.
Okay, oh, and I do want to say real quick, she makes a comment in here about the Marvel killed the Ultraverse comic line. I think I read, if I remember correctly, Ultraverse had Prime, which I read for a little bit. And yeah, that I don't understand why a comic company does this. There was this is the 90s, and my mind's a little foggy from back then. But
your version of the 60s.
And I was working at a comic book store at the time when this happened. But if I remember correctly, it was the Ultraverse line was an actual line, it was a publisher. And Marvel bought them and bought all their characters and started to actually publish these books, and then just stopped for some reason. I'm not sure why.
I want to know how old your kids are, Samantha.
Yes, write us back. Send us a voicemail.
That's the kind of stuff I'm interested in.
Yeah.
And the guy who works 12 hours a day, man, that's a lot for any left at home spouse, because back in the day when you were working full time, but we were having a hard time pinching pennies as much as we could, and you got a second job as a pizza delivery dude, you would be gone from morning until...
Yeah, because I'd go from one job right to the other, so I'd be gone out of the house by, before 7 and not be back until 11.
Yeah.
So
long days. So more power to you, sister friend.
This next one comes from the message board, cgspodcast.com/forum. It's from regular listener Jay Cargith. Love the show, and I think your wife is a great addition. Plus, I love hearing about the kids. Comes with being a dad, I think.
Absolutely.
I don't know. I like that your wife isn't into a lot of it. Allows me to see and quite often chuckle at the little absurdities of comics.
That was a bad chuckle. But
I never actually got my wife to read comics. Far from it. We don't share a lot of the same tastes. Such as us. Especially when it comes to reading. If she ever read anything, it was up to her, and likely out of sheer boredom at times. I did pick up the giant SIP pocketbooks. I have no idea what that is. And she read that in one sitting. And she actively...
Maybe it's like a Cliff Notes kind of thing.
I don't know, SIP. I'm sure it stands for something. I just don't know what it is. And she actively... He'll probably write in and say, SIP means this, and I'll go, oh, duh. And she actively sought out the others. I'm pretty sure I never got through volume 2. Oh, and she picked out Dark Tower #1 despite my protests. But it's awesome. Dark Tower is awesome. I thought the price tag was too high.
Yeah.
But it's awesome. I'm going to say that again. Awesome.
Oh my.
DCBS has spoiled me. Me too. Anyway, long story, a wee bit shorter. I love the contrast, though I bet you had a tough time recording this week. What with the new Boston Legal?
Yeah. That would be last week.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Oh, and kind of in the vein of your low rent fanboy tips, does anyone bag and board their comics back to back? Like with issue 1 on one side and issue 2 on the other? Sometimes I feel like I might be the only one.
He shouldn't be. If you don't do that, that's just a waste.
I know. No, but I used to. When
yeah, because we're just spilling over in money now.
Well, when I didn't use boards, I would bag 2 comics at a time, but they don't tend, I find the kind of bags I get, 2 comics and 1 board won't fit in one bag that well.
Yeah, that could be a tight squeeze.
Addition, he says, I just remembered, I also loved your wife's theory that Cap is off fighting in Afghanistan or somewhere.
Yeah.
Gets my blood pumping just thinking about it.
Right. Maybe. We'll see.
Yeah. Next one I got here is from regular crazy man, Defixer 3000, who I think might be a little smitten with you. No, I'm joking.
Well, who wouldn't be?
Well, yeah. He says, ha! I actually caught the show when it was ready, so I didn't have to wait until I got home to listen. I'm demand! What an oddball. If you were invited to be in a podcast alley set up at a convention, would you go? This line really stood out for me because I was really hoping he was going to invite me to one.
Oh, well, maybe
but
he will.
He's never responded. And I just basically said, I would love to be at a convention in a booth as a podcast, but it would depend on when and where. Because if they were going to say, hey, come to San Diego, I don't think so. I don't think that's going to happen. About the addition of the wife, you're going to hear about this for a couple of shows, so gird the loins.
Oh, wait.
She's a lot of things. Sweet, fun to listen to, great as part of the team on the show, but annoying? Tell that guy who said this thing that I will send Chlor over to his house to smite him the next time he says anything bad about one of our favorite lady podcasters. That's right. She's a podcaster now. Don't forget to give her the medal.
Gulp.
Is there a medal? What makes it work so...
I'll make a medal.
What makes it work so well is that we can tell you know each other. There's been a couple of complete each other's thoughts instances. You can feel the love you have for each other through the iPod.
I can feel the love.
And that's just magic. Dreamweaver.
I love that song. Oh.
Quick show idea. When you guys catch a new episode of Boston Legal, the wife should review it for the podcast.
Sure.
William Shatner is in it, so that's kind of sort of related to fanboy stuff.
Well, now that I'm in this, it's all about me.
Yeah, that's right.
Pretty soon we're going to be talking about Swiffer carpet cleaners. And do you bother dusting your mini blinds, or do you just get new ones every year? Because they're so darn cheap anymore.
They are. It would just be easier.
Oh, so much easier.
Unless you had one of those, the ads for the Swiffer things.
Easier.
You just go, it's done.
We'll be talking about all kinds of goofy stuff.
I also wanted to read an iTunes review. I hadn't planned on...
You didn't finish.
Yeah, I did. I just didn't get his little last sentence down there.
Did you mention this?
Yeah. Oh.
Not to
mention, and most importantly, having such a lovely person like your wife on destroys that silly stereotype of comic fanboy being lonely guys who live in their mother's basements and never...
Sorry,
okay. So my stepdaughter's just come downstairs talking on the phone and is ignoring the fact that we're recording, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Let me read that again. Not to mention, and most importantly, having such a lovely person like your wife on destroys that silly stereotype of comic fanboy being lonely guys who live in their mother's basements and never get dates. Okay, so thank you, Defixa. Now,
let me see.
Okay.
So I gotta say, I'm sweet. Mm-hmm. That's nice. That's nice.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people who probably know me in real life in the years past, because I don't socialize much anymore because I keep busy with the kids, who would argue with you on that, because I didn't used to be a very sweet person. So I appreciate the fact that
you are sweet.
That shines in me now. So thank you for saying nice things.
Sweet as a pork chop.
But I can be very annoying, so don't be blowing that off too fast. I'm annoying a lot of people right now, I'm sure. But anyway, appreciate it.
Okay, so I'm going to read a review from iTunes, which I hadn't planned on doing this week. I wasn't going to really read any more iTunes reviews.
And you should say that I signed up. I am Mrs. Fanboy.
Yes. one post so far over there, but Mrs. Fanboy is the wife, Karen. So say hi.
Hello.
We'll have to get you an avatar.
I don't plan to be there too much. I got to
All right.
save it all for the show.
Okay. But anyway, I wanted to read an iTunes review. I was just going to stop reading any of those on the show unless one of them really stuck out. And this one kind of did, because I jumped over to the forum today while I was getting stuff, the show notes ready and seeing if there's anything I wanted to read. And I look right on the homepage as I'm going down the list of podcast forums, and I get to Just Another Fanboy, and I see that the last post made in the Just Another Fanboy forum is by username Comic Book Noise. And I just literally went, oh no. Now, let me explain that.
Yeah.
Comic Book Noise, for those of you who don't know, is a podcast by Derek Coward. Derek Coward, who I enjoy his podcast. I listen to it every week and I love it. He is not afraid to speak his mind. He has his opinions and he sticks to them. He just doesn't care. And that's one of the reasons I like his podcast so much, because he's not one of these people that will, back down really or sugarcoat it. He'll tell you. If he doesn't like it, he'll tell you.
Yeah.
And he's not afraid to tell you. So when I saw that he posted,
You panicked.
I was like,
yeah.
oh no. And so I read his post.
You might never recover from something.
I'd have a heart attack. So, do you hear
There's
that?
a loud motorcycle out there.
Man, he's
It's
cool.
a nice day for it.
Yeah.
Here. Well, except it was raining, but now it's not.
So he just simply stated that he left a review over to iTunes. And that's pretty much all he said. And again, I went,
That's like getting a note on your desk from your manager saying,
Yeah.
please come see me in my office.
Yeah, that.
You don't know.
Yeah, because the last time that happened, I
You
got laid
fired.
off. Yeah, exactly.
Laid off.
So I'm going to read this review, and I'm actually going to move the mic to do it so I can look at the screen. So if you hear a little bumping and grumping, that's what that is. Okay, so
I'm way over here.
I go to iTunes, and this is what I see. The title of the review just simply states, "An Acquired Taste." And again, I went, oh no. But he did give me 4 stars, and he says, Steeven could easily be considered the clown prince of comic podcasting.
That's awesome.
And while that title fits, his show is a lot deeper than that. He is not just putting out a podcast, he is putting out a show, and show is in all caps. His enthusiasm for the work he does is evident whenever he opens his mouth. You can tell by the care that he takes to produce the show, he will be out a lot longer than a lot of other podcasters. I'm not a big fan of the voices. Don't worry, Derek. Not a lot of people are. Don't care. But I appreciate what he is trying to do, and I respect him for that. A lot of people might not like Just Another Fanboy, and I knew that going into it. But no one can accuse him of putting out a half-hearted effort. That also made my freaking day.
It sure did. You had, yeah.
It's one thing, and I don't want to try to belittle Samantha from Ohio's feedback, because
That was
loved
beautiful
it.
and heartfelt.
But it's one thing when a listener tells you, just your average listener tells you, you're
Yeah,
doing
but I have a feeling she's not your average listener.
Well,
so
no.
anywho.
But, when one of your fellow podcasters
When a
steps
fan,
up.
when a fan tells you,
Yeah, but
it's
when
one thing.
one of your fellow podcasters, especially a podcast that I've been listening to since I started listening to comic book podcasts before I even started doing this, when they step up and say, you're doing a good job.
Yeah. That's
He
huge.
He might as well have just been Mean Joe Green from the Pittsburgh Steelers and gave me the jersey off his back because I gave him a Coke.
Okay, I'm glad I realized now that that's a commercial, because I thought, how many comic book geek fanboys use sports references?
You're sure as heck ain't going to hear me
usually
do it.
one or the other as far as sports and comics, and not always, but that's kind of the stereotypical thing. So I thought you were going with the football analogy. That was really going to blow my mind.
Okay, so that was listeners' feedback.
That was pretty cool. I do want to say, in regard to some of the stuff that he said, that I am a little concerned, since the production is different now, that we've changed the format with just this talking, chatting thing, that he might be throwing a wrench in something that he thinks is good. So,
Well, but he posted in response to my episode 29 thread. So I'm going to assume he listened to episode 29, which was the first episode you were on.
yeah.
And we do still have Norman and Gary, just not tonight.
And you've got all the music in between the bits and whatnot, which I love.
The bits and pieces.
The bits and pieces.
So,
yeah.
All right, so let's do some news and information you could have easily gotten for yourself with just a little effort. This week's news and information you could have easily gotten for yourself with just a little effort is brought to you by the good people at Peppy Pete's Potty Palace. When was the last time you used a public restroom that was clean and not covered with bodily waste? How often do you walk into a gas station bathroom only to turn right back around for fear of losing your lunch? Do you ever dream of using the type of facilities you see in 5-star restaurants without paying for the 5-star meal? Well, thanks to Peppy Pete's Potty Palace, your dreams have become a reality. Peppy Pete has labored continuously over the past decade to provide the finest and low-cost luxury pay toilets on each city block in each city and town around the nation. So when you have to go but don't want to sit on 16 layers of toilet paper, then try Peppy Pete's Potty Palace. Only 25 cents a visit, or buy a membership card for only $10 a month. Peppy Pete's Potty Palace. It's the place to crap. Heroes Online comic to continue after season ends. The Hollywood Reporter notes that NBC will continue the online Heroes graphic novel after the show's first season wraps up on May 8th. That's kind of interesting.
I don't think I knew that it was online.
Yeah, there's each week on NBC, on the Heroes site on NBC, they do a 4 to 5 page comic which kind of fills in between episodes. It's not anything that's integral.
Good word.
Thank you. But and I'm really hoping that in the off season when they do these, that it's not something that if you don't read them, that you're not going to understand what's going on in the next season. I don't think they're going to do that, but hope, you know.
Hey, is the artist on that show? Is he somebody who does the artwork for the show?
The actual art is done by Tim Sale, who's a comic book artist.
Okay, what's he best known for? Curiosity.
Off the top of my head, Batman: The Long Halloween, I think is what it's called. It's one of the best Batman stories ever told.
Well, I bet he's working in the cash.
I bet he is. Okay.
Yeah.
Hunter Rose returns and behold the devil. For the first time in over a decade, comics pioneer Matt Wagner writes and draws a miniseries starring his most influential creation, Hunter Rose, the original and most feared assassin known as Grendel. Launching this July with the 50-cent prologue issue, Grendel, Behold the Devil, chronicles an untold chapter in the life of Hunter Rose over the course of 8 intrigue-laden, blood-soaked issues. A child prodigy, Rose grew up to become a best-selling novelist by day and a criminal mastermind by night. It was only after his death that Rose's step-granddaughter, the noted journalist Christine Spar, discovered his private journals and uncovered Grendel's true meaning as a symptom of society's mediocrity and ceaseless lust for violence. Now, the final missing pages of Rose's journals, long thought lost, have been discovered, colored in the black, white, and red color palette synonymous with the stories of Hunter Rose. Each issue in this 8-part series contains 20 pages of story and retails for $2.99. Featuring an introductory story exclusive to the issue, the 50-cent prologue of Grendel, Behold the Devil, arrives on sale from Dark Horse Comics on July 18th. Comics rule the box office. This past weekend saw comics come in on top at the box office, with TMNT bringing in a domestic box office of $25.5 million to put it in the top spot, with Frank Miller's 300 following at a close second with $20.5 million. That's kind of neat to see the two leading movies are comic book movies. And here are 3 movie rumors that I found on the web. These may come to pass, these may not come to pass. Hugo Weaving will voice the character of Megatron in the new Transformers movie.
Who's that?
Hugo Weaving was Agent Smith in The Matrix, the main bad guy agent who...
The one who stood in front of the fan? No.
He was the one, you remember...
No, I'm thinking of...
What are you thinking about? The Matrix, you help your landlady take out her garbage, Mr. Anderson.
What am I thinking of?
I don't know. What fan?
No, it's...
He also did,
I'm thinking of, okay, it doesn't even matter, but Dogma. That's who's the bad guy I was thinking of.
No.
Standing in front. Okay, never mind.
He also was the man behind the mask in V for Vendetta. Number 2, Neil Patrick.
That should be a blooper. That whole thing right there. Bloop.
Number 2, Neil Patrick Harris will appear in the upcoming Justice League movie. Mm-hmm. Or is he just going to be a voice talent in the New Frontier animated movie? One or the other, who knows?
Interesting.
For those of you who don't know Neil Patrick Harris, Doogie Howser.
I wonder if he's a comic book fan.
I don't know.
We need to get him on our list of people.
And number 3, Matthew Modine will play Bruce Banner in Hulk number 2. Is that true? I don't know.
I'm not sure I see that.
I've also heard that Andrew Brody was talking about playing
I do like
Bruce Banner.
Modine.
Yeah, he's all right. And out on this week on DVD, we've got Fantastic Four, World's Greatest Heroes, Volume 1. That's the newest Fantastic Four animated series. That's on our Netflix queue now.
Oh, wonderful.
Happy Feet. That's on our Netflix queue now.
That is good.
And Children of Men.
Yeah, what is that?
That's the movie
That sounds familiar.
that's set in like a futuristic world where women are no longer having children.
Oh, yeah.
And
okay.
he finds the baby or something and everybody's after it.
Well, finds the pregnant lady.
Yeah.
Okay.
And actually it's funny because
It's not funny.
well, no, it's not funny. But I just listened to an interview on Comic Geek Speak with Matt Fraction, who I love, who lives in Kansas City. And he said he saw the movie and he loved it, but I don't know if he found it creepy or just so intense that he says he will never watch it again.
Whoa.
So I'm intrigued.
Okay.
All right, so
Yeah, I didn't see anything on the list that jumped out at me this week.
Okay.
Not a thing.
Not even Vampire Dentist.
No,
I saw that. Sometimes I like to just look through the horror titles because there's such funny titles, and I almost put I think it's either Dentist Vampire or Vampire Dentist, which makes me think of Steve Martin from
that would scare a lot of people from going to the dentist.
All right, so that was your news and information you could have easily gotten for yourself with just a little effort.
I'm gonna have to work on that.
Yeah.
I could do that sometime.
And now my comic book picks of the week. Okay, so I got 2 more for you again this week, and they're both from Marvel Comics, so that whole thing I said last week about picking one from each company. Yeah.
Well, that didn't last long.
Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
Okay.
First issue is Punisher War Journal number 5.
There's that gross guy
I know.
again.
This is written by Matt Fraction, who I've mentioned a lot this week. Artist is Ariel Olivetti. Letters is done by Virtual Calligraphy's Joe Carmagna, who's, I never paid attention to letters much when I started this podcast, and this guy's name pops up all the time. Assistant editor is Michael O'Connor. Editor is Axel Alonso. I'm going to kind of try to zip through these this week because we're already running kind of long, but
again,
Punisher War Journal number 5 was a great book. In essence, it's just a standoff between a character by the name of Bushwhacker, who's really a creepy character. Look at this dude.
Yeah.
He has the ability to morph his arm. I don't know if it's both arms or just the one into various guns, but he's got a hostage. There's a guy named Ian.
Now, that's not the kind of guy you want living down the road.
No. There's a guy named Ian who is an auxiliary police officer in New York who volunteered for the auxiliary force after 9/11 because he wanted to do something to support the police and the fire department. And anyway, he faces off against the Bushwhacker, and the Bushwhacker is there with G.W. Bridge. And you come to find out in the end that really it was all just a subtle plan by G.W. Bridge to use this to draw the Punisher out. Because Mr. Bridge is after the Punisher. And at one point, because it starts out with the bushwhacker demanding a helicopter. And he winds up after, you know, in this standoff, he says, fine, you know what, never mind, don't give me a helicopter, just bring me the Punisher. And the Punisher does show up at the end, but yeah, I'm not going to spoil it for you. Really good issue. There's the very last page is they're in Times Square, and
never been there.
Everything just kind of stops. Because all those video monitors you see throughout Times Square start showing the news footage. Yeah, the news footage of Captain America being shot. And everybody just kind of stops, and the Punisher says, "Oh no!" And then his caption thought, "Not him." And then he's standing there and he says, "No." So this is leading to the Punisher putting on the Captain America costume. I know it is, but this. Again,
the symbol's got to stay.
Well, yeah, he respects Captain America, though he's pretty much the polar opposite of Captain America because he kills. But this was a really good kind of a done in one type of issue because it deals with this auxiliary police officer Ian, and you find out that he was actually let go because he couldn't. I don't know. He was getting very depressed because he lost his entire family in the whole Stanford incident that started the Civil War. And, anyway, it was a really good issue. Matt Fraction is quickly becoming another one of my favorite writers to be put up there with Ed Brubaker and Brad Meltzer. I'm really glad I picked up Punisher War Journal because I got the first issue and was like, and then, you know, ended up loving the second issue. So I'm glad I'm getting this book. And the art is just great. It's really
pretty good. I'm just looking through.
I love the art, especially you'll notice certain scenes where the background is pretty much a photo of, you know, New York City behind him, but it's kind of morphed a little to look like comic book art. They don't do that in every panel. Just every once in a while you'll notice, hey, that's an actual photograph there behind him, but it works. And I think it really makes the art kind of pop. So, great story. Punisher War Journal is definitely something you should be picking up, especially if you are reading the Captain America issues now.
So do you think his name is Ian or is it Ian?
I think I'm going to go with Ian.
Okay. You do that.
The next one I have for you is Criminal. Also a number 5. We're going with number 5 issues tonight. Criminal, written by my favorite writer, Ed Brubaker. Artist is Sean Phillips. Colors by Val Staples. This is the last part in the first story arc, in which Leo is duped by our main character, Leo, who's a thief, is duped by a friend of his to steal what he thinks are diamonds in a police evidence van. Okay. And come to find out they don't steal diamonds. It's actually a briefcase full of heroin, and there's a dirty cop involved, and this girl that he has help out, you know, they're the only two that escape with their lives, and they're hiding out in the woods in this old cabin, and blah 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 blah. It's a really good book because the last issue ended with the bad guys showing up at the cabin while Leo was gone and finding Greta there alone, and they kill her. And so Leo, throughout this whole five issue arc, you've always been told that he's very, he does not take a job unless he knows that he can get out without getting caught. He's very safe. He's very cautious. And throughout the whole 5-issue series, you think it's because his father, who got him into crime, he gets arrested and dies in prison. And so throughout this whole 5-issue arc, you're thinking that the main reason why he's very cautious and safe is because he doesn't want to end up like his father. And you find out in this issue that ultimately the reason why his father went to jail was for murdering another criminal. Well, you find out it wasn't his father who did it. It was Leo. And what Leo's really afraid of is this rage, this killer rage that's inside him that he never lets loose. And that's why he doesn't do certain jobs, because he knows when it gets loose, he's going to kill somebody. And he does a whole lot of killing in this book. So if you like just straight up crime books, Criminal is the book for you. I'm really liking this series because the next issue number 6, it's just a whole. Okay, you got it in some water there.
Sorry, I got the book.
She got the book slightly wet.
The water
and
ring.
I'm freaking out now.
Gosh. Okay, where's that number for that divorce attorney?
It's okay. It's okay. Oh, my Lord.
Sorry.
All right. I'm not going to sleep at all tonight. So anyway, the next issue number 6 starts pretty much a whole new story. So criminal number 5, frankly, if you're not reading every single thing that Ed Brubaker puts out, you're a fool. Of course, I don't think I read everything that Ed Brubaker puts out, but I've been known to be a fool now and again.
Everybody's got to be now and again.
So that's my comic book picks of the week. Punisher War Journal number 5.
Picks of the week.
Criminal number 5. Good stuff. All right.
Okay.
So
buttons.
Anything else you want to talk about before we wrap up the show?
I made a couple of notes that I popped into my head. Every 2 weeks, at our son Simon's preschool, they have a new letter of the week, or it's actually for 2 weeks. And this week, well, every week, we find out what the letter is. And Simon, what's your? Well, they call it the secret sound. What's your secret sound this week?
Because they always, if it's like, S, it's s.
Okay, what's your secret sound this week? M.
And what do they do with the secret sound?
They then come up with as many words as they can as a group that
start with that letter.
Start with that sound. Yeah. And so Simon will come home and he'll say, okay, so like what words? And so this week it's the letter L. And he would say like lion and
lemon,
love. Yeah, things like that. And the first thing, we now try to come up with, you started it, is whatever superheroes or villains begin with the secret sound of the week.
And of course, you got it this week because he said L.
And you froze.
Yeah, because I immediately go to superheroes and I'm like L. And it took me an hour before I even come up with Lightning Lad, but you jumped right on it.
Lex Luthor, baby.
Lex Luthor.
Lana Lang. Lois Lane. I was on top of it. I'm getting into this. Oh, that's so sad.
So I guess what you're trying to say is you want some audience participation.
Sure. So we'll let you know, if you can think of any other L's, because it's really cool then the next day Simon goes to school, they're all in their circle, letter L, whatever little song they sing or whatever. Then they all start shouting out letters that begin with that. Words that begin with that letter. And, Simon will be in there tomorrow going, Lex Luthor! Lois Lane!
Yeah.
So cool. So if you can think of any other L ones, let us know. Call the voice line. Yeah,
because I still can't think of, other than those 4. Lex, Lana, Lois, and Lightning Lad. Mm-hmm. Nothing else is springing to mind.
Yeah. And so then every 2 weeks we know what the new secret sound is. We'll let y'all know. And
we'll let you know.
Yeah. See if you can help us with some new ones because that's pretty cool. Another thing, I know we can't go over every single listener feedback that gets posted on your forum and whatnot because you're getting so much feedback anymore.
Yeah, we just turn into an hour and a half of us just reading comments off the forum.
People love us. Kind of thing.
You could go to the forum and read them.
Right, but just a shout out to the stay-at-home dad who listens. I don't have his screen name jotted down.
I think it was Jay Cargith.
I just don't recall, but woohoo! You got to give it up to anybody.
Mr. Mom
with their kids.
Great movie.
Yeah, it was a great movie.
Have you ever met your wife's boss dressed in a flannel shirt with a chainsaw? Probably not.
Okay, probably not. But just hello and keep listening and let me know how old your kids are too.
Yeah.
I'm all down with that. And I wanted to say, who are your picks for Dancing with the Stars? We're not real big geeks when it comes to that, but we do watch because we want to, we want to be in on what's going on.
Yeah, because there are certain nights that when you're in a marriage and you're in a relationship, you're living with somebody or you're in a marriage, you're going to have certain shows that you watch and certain shows that your spouse or your partner watches.
Right.
And, I guess you know, in our house,
really into the whole everybody going into other rooms.
Yeah, because in our house,
except when I used to go and watch Boston Legal.
Yeah, if you want to go into another room to watch a TV show, you got to go and just stand in the kitchen.
Yeah, because we don't have a TV in the bedroom or anything. So, and we also just don't like being split up like that.
When Dances with the Stars is on, you watch it, and then so I started watching it, and I really didn't probably get into it until last season.
Yeah, well, me either.
Yeah.
I suppose there was a reason why. There was somebody probably that I wanted to see, you know, but I can't recall who it might have been. But I don't think we watch it like religiously. Last season we didn't, but this year, you know.
Yeah. And I'm going with, and now his name escapes me, but Cliff Clavin all the way.
John
Ratzenberger.
Yeah, that's your pick.
It's my pick.
And then you said somebody else too. Oh, and Billy Ray.
Billy Ray Cyrus.
We're both.
Yeah, as much as I freaking hated that guy when his Achy Breaky song came out, because my mom loved him, you know. I'm liking him.
He's got to be an underdog because that first week he was just so bad.
Oh, he was terrible.
But I felt bad for him. So, you know, I gotta say, go Billy Ray.
So vote for John Ratzenberger.
Yeah. And those are my two guys picks right now. And then on the girls side, Layla Ali, and I'm going with Heather Mills.
I'd have to go.
Because you got to give it up to her for coming here in the middle of her whole, you know, marriage fiasco stuff.
Yeah, the rumors of her beating Paul McCartney.
No, rumors that he beat her.
Oh, I thought it was the other. I thought it was vice versa.
Well, whatever it was rumors, and she's here to make nice. Let's give her the respect.
I'll go John Ratzenberger and Layla Ali.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we'll see
is
how
it
things
burger?
go.
Is it Ratzenberger or Ratzen?
I think so.
Okay.
So let us know who your picks are, because I'd be curious to know. We'll have we could do like March Madness kind of. What do they call the
brackets?
Yeah. We could do something like that.
Okay, so let's wrap up the show.
Wrap it up like a present.
Spread a little of the Just Another Fanboy love. You can go to the board and post at cgspodcast.com/forum. And actually, they changed the URL. You can use that link and get there, but it's going to take you to cgspodcast.com/forum, followed by the number 2.
Just get there.
Go there and post. And actually, I did want to mention, I wanted to give a shout out to old Jay Cargith, because I noticed just last week that in his signature on the board is my Just Another Fanboy icon.
So cool, huh?
That was awesome. Thank you, Jay, for that.
Yeah.
You can also
good. People are nice. And you don't like people. What's wrong with you?
I don't. I like individuals. I don't like people as a whole.
I understand. A lot of people in the customer service industry.
And yet I am in the customer service industry. We are Just Another Fanboy is a proud member of the Comics Podcast Network. You can find that at comicspodcasts.com. It's a great place to go to just get some good comic book podcasts. Okay. I like to spread a lot of the love of the other podcasts out there, because there's a lot of great ones, and that's a nice central location that you can go to, and each day go there and you may find a podcast you've never heard before, download and listen to it. And speaking of the Comics Podcast Network, I want to give a shout out to fellow podcaster, and now I can't think of his name. His screen name is Anubis over on the forums. He does the comic book savant, and you can find him at comicspodcast.com. I played one of his promos on the show, I think in episode 29, and I think I'll stick one in on this episode, so you've probably already heard it. But he played my promo. So
the wonders of editing.
Yes. Comicspodcast.com. Check them out. You can also join us at comicspace.com and be one of my friends at comicspace.com/just_another_fanboy. I was such a meathead when I signed up for that, because I just could have put Just Another Fanboy, but I had to put in the stupid underscores for some reason.
Man.
But that's where we're at. Like I said, I only go there once a week, and that's to post a new bulletin when a new episode comes out. Also, put up your iTunes reviews, because that really helps the show out. The more reviews we get up there, the more likely people are to find the show. You can also send us a voicemail at the Just Another Fanboy voice line at 1-877-309-8367, extension 212, and use your soft, sultry voice to speak your love
Let's hear from
or
you,
hate
Heather.
of the show. Yes, Heather. Where you been? Mom, let her call.
She likes eggs.
She loves the eggs.
She likes some eggs.
I had poached eggs for the first time.
You had poached eggs on toast. I made you poached eggs on toast.
They're
It's something my mom used to make for me, like whenever I was sick.
They're creepy looking. Because you basically just have a pot of boiling water and you crack an egg into it.
Yeah.
And
I probably don't do it the way you're supposed to.
They look creepy when they're cooking.
Yeah.
Ugh. And yet they're tasty.
Like I said, I just cracked the whole thing into it. Maybe you're supposed to drain off some of the white.
I don't know.
But it just all floats around in there. It looks like a ghost.
Looks like an alien autopsy.
It's pretty
It looks like one of those alien fetuses in the jars.
Gosh, don't ruin it for me. One more thing.
Okay, and I just want to say I'm looking at the comic book that got wet, and it looks fine.
Okay.
The comic book is fine.
No permanent damage. I'm sorry.
Not that I'll ever sell it. My comic book collection.
We're not real big coaster users here, so
hopefully go to one of the kids.
My glass was sweating, and I threw it on the coffee table.
Sweaty glasses.
3, 2, 1 Penguins wasn't on last Saturday. I think I said the first time I mentioned it, they either show what is 10 o'clock here our time, Central Time. 3, 2, 1 Penguins or Larry Boy Stories. And they did 2 weeks in a row of 3, 2, 1 Penguins, and then last week was Larry Boy Stories. So if by any chance you were tuning in to see what the Kevin is all about, you didn't miss it. I mean, you missed it, but you didn't miss it. Everybody missed it because it was Larry Boy Stories instead. So, and if you hopefully it'll be on this week. We'll just see.
And if you have any other suggestions for Karen as far as books to read, because she did enjoy The Pride of Baghdad, something else like that, because, she's probably not going to be into the superhero comic. I love you too.
Well, I mean, how long have you been trying to get me to read something, and how much have comic books come between us from time to time? I mean, we've butted heads over that, so.
Almost literally.
Yeah. Like rams, butting heads.
You could hear the crack of our heads butting down the road. That is an awesome sound. We're really just stretching.
All right, people.
Okay, so until next week, I'm Steven.
And I'm Karen.
And I'm just another fanboy.
And I'm getting there.
Bye-bye, Daddy.
Bye-bye, Daddy.
Good job.